Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new content.
316. Mole. Walker was in the hospital? When Zach asked, the other party said that he had been beaten up. However, they were in the hospital. When they received the call for help, they only saw Walker when they arrived at the scene. They did not see a third party present. Therefore, they didn't know who had beaten him up. After hanging up the phone, Zach asked Luna for the car keys. After Luna found out that Walker had been beaten up, her heart skipped a beat. She vaguely felt that this matter had something to do with the sunshade. After all, it was Walker who had found out about it. Moreover, the hospital Walker was in the area where District Motors and Plastics Factory was located. Following closely behind Zach, Luna got into the car together with him. "I'm familiar with the road. I'll show you the way." Zach did not say anything else. He started the car and took Luna with him. The car drove very fiercely along the way. The car that was originally quite gentle in Luna's hands was like a young lady and a princess. But now, in Zach's hands, it was like a crazy beast roaring at the streets. Luna felt as if she was riding a roller coaster, and her heart was beating rapidly. Originally, it would take 40 minutes. Zach took less than 30 to get there. Only then did Luna know that this was how the car drove. In the past, her driving method was only suitable for getting from point A to point B easily. Zach did not deliberately show off his driving skills. He was just worried about Walker's safety. Walden was about to take the college entrance exam, and Walker's wife had just finished the surgery. If anything happened to Walker at this time, Old Woo's family would be finished. Zach rushed into the hospital and quickly saw Walker, whose eyes were swollen and his head was wrapped with bandages. At this time, Walker's mouth was swollen from being hit by someone. He even grinned and greeted Zach. "Zhao Zong!" That's right, he called him Zhao Zong. His mouth was swollen and he could not speak properly. Zach asked about his injury, but Walker said it was nothing. He was just beaten up by a few gangsters. The hospital didn't mean anything by calling Zach. They just found that he was an emergency contact and also someone to help pay for the medical expenses. Walker didn't have any money on him, but he didn't dare let his wife and children know about this, so he asked the hospital to call Zach. After knowing that it was like this, Zach heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Fortunately, Walker did not suffer any serious injuries. He thought that the hospital was calling to tell him that Walker was about to die. He was shocked. Luna had paid the bill. No matter how he tried to stop her, he could not stop her. She insisted on paying the bill. This matter was basically with them, and it was Walker who had found out such a big problem. As the vice president of QZ, she had the responsibility and obligation to take the responsibility for this matter to the end. After taking the medicine and leaving the hospital, Zach drove and picked up Kate, while Walker himself sat in the back seat. Using his swollen mouth, Walker roughly told them what had happened. "I originally wanted to come here to collect evidence. I was worried that QZ Group would leak the information. I wanted to first verify the illegal production of their factory so that they wouldn't get rid of the evidence and the crime scene after they got wind of it. But who would have thought that the moment I appeared, someone pointed at me and shouted to beat me up. Then 7 or 8 men rushed over and beat me up." Zach understood that Walker was doing this out of good intentions. If he wanted to verify this matter and fight for the rights of his automotive company from QZ Group, at the very least, he had to control the quality of the parts and prevent any accidents from happening when the new product went public. Therefore, he was very touched by Walker's diligence. Luna, as the vice president, naturally thought of this as well. If not for the fact that there might be a mole in the company, Walker would not have been recognized and beaten up the moment he arrived at the entrance of the District Motor Factory. Luna felt very guilty when she thought of this. "Mr. Walker, I'm sorry. Our QZ Group cannot absolve itself for the blame for this matter." Walker quickly waved his hand. "It's nothing much. Besides, you were all deceived by this matter and did not know the inside story at all. so you don't have to apologize to me. You are a good person. The title of a good person made Luna feel a little embarrassed. She was a good person. Then what was Walker? Walker was a really good person. At this moment, Zach asked Luna about the factory's location, and then he turned around and rushed over. Luna asked, "Don't tell me you want to fight someone." Zach replied, "Of course not. I just want to take the evidence down so that when they stop working, the goods will be moved away." Luna thought about it and immediately understood. If Walker and the rest knew about it, then this matter must have already reached the ears of the boss of District Factory. Since he knew how to hit Walker, then why would he leave the goods in the factory behind? Therefore, Zach's decision was right. If he did not go there as soon as possible, the boss would definitely transfer the parts. Moreover, as long as the factory stopped working and was slightly tidied up, no one would be able to produce any evidence that caused the defects. As for those unqualified products from before, it was simple. Luna could think of a suitable reason for them. What we produce are all very qualified products. We strictly follow the national regulations. As for those unqualified counterfeit products, they are not ours at all. It was the mold taking the product and replacing them with the defective ones. The genuine products were sold. Hence, when Zach drove the district factory, Luna had already prepared her phone. She would only wait for him there before filming. She would collect as much evidence as she could. However, when they were fooled by the fact that they had been rushed to the district factory, the factory was still in full swing. Everyone was still working, and the environmental protection equipment was quite complete. However, the funny thing was that the brand sunshade they had previously reserved was gone. Not a single one. In the words of their boss, Jack, "We have lost our job list. We are making up for it." Wasn't this nonsense? If you lost your job list, you wouldn't call QZ Group to make up for it? You wouldn't ask them how much they needed to produce over the phone? However, the CEO of District Motor Factory, Jack, was just bullshitting. He was talking nonsense with his eyes wide open. When Luna asked about the parts that did not meet the requirements, it was true that heroes think alike. These temp workers nowadays are really useless. I treated him well, but he actually stole my goods. What a bastard! But don't worry, Director Luna. We will do whatever the contract is set. I will compensate you with tenfold of the goods. You have a total of what? 10 sunshades, right? I'll send you 100. We're doing business. If you have any mistakes, you have to admit them. If you have any mistakes, you have to correct them. We have to pay attention to our 100 years of integrity. 100 years of integrity. These words came out of Jack's mouth. Why was it so awkward? Episode 317. You're right. No one could do anything to Jack. The sunshade produced by the factory was not for QZ, and there were no problems with the production process. The finished product did not exceed the standard limits. Although the warehouse was empty, they had already sent it to a foreign car company. There was no way to investigate this matter. It felt like the police had caught a criminal, but there was no evidence to prove their wrongdoing. He was very pleased with himself. Luna was so angry that her face turned pale. However, both parties had signed contracts and did not have any material evidence. She could not do anything to Jack. Director Luna is not staying for lunch. Then take care. See you later. Jack was really proud of himself. He looked like he had a big belly and was smiling very well. But in fact, he was pretty easy to get along with. Luna hated this kind of person who always smiled a little too wide, so much that her teeth itched. But there was nothing she could do about it. Luna did not speak a single word. She lowered her head and hugged her arms, turning her face to look out the window. It was unknown what she was thinking about. After driving Walker home, Zach said to her with a smile, "Are you still angry about Jack?" Luna used her palm to draw a knife and said, "I wish I could cut off his head." Zach nodded. That's a good idea. There were knife sellers in front. I'll bring you there to buy one. After buying it, we'll drive straight back. When the time comes, I'll applaud and cheer for you in the car. You can take the big knife and chop his head off. Luna was annoyed by Zach's teasing. She clenched her fist and punched Zach. You know I'm angry, but you still tease me. Zach smiled. Then don't be angry. All right, let me tell you something serious. Luna heard that it was something serious, so she became serious. Zach then said to her, Didn't you arrange for the security guards to detain the people from the external inspection? Find a way to investigate those people who were detained and find out who they had called during the time they were detained. Luna frowned. It's not easy to investigate. We are not the police. Why should we investigate their policy? Zach replied, You're right. We can't, but we have a little bit of influence and power. Why don't you use some of your influence to see what they were doing and who they called when they had them detained? Their phone records might show who the mole is. Then, you'll leave behind the number of people they've been calling during this period of time. We'll investigate them, one by one. Naturally, we'll be able to match their numbers and see who leaked the information after Walker was beaten up. Luna suddenly understood. Great enlightenment. This was good. Not only would it not infect the personal privacy of their colleagues, but it would also not alert the other party. The key was that it was easy to investigate and not be troublesome. At most, half a day would be enough. Luna immediately called the secretary to let him handle this matter. Actually, there was no need to rely on connections. Just based on this kind of large business client, it was a very close relationship. It was just the owner of the phone number, which communication company would refuse, unless they did not want to look for this big client. After making the call, Luna put away her phone. After that, Zach and Luna drove back to the company. Not long after, they returned to the office. The secretary also brought the investigation results to Luna's table. It was the department head of the Foreign Inspection Department. During that period of time, 3 people made phone calls. 2 of them answered the calls of their family and friends. The remaining department head of the Foreign Inspection Department took the initiative to call out and call a local phone number. The phone number had been checked. The owner of the phone was Jack himself. Luna thought for a moment and then ordered the secretary, Ask the security department to release the person. It's almost time to get off work. The secretary did not understand why, but she did not dare to ask too much. She just did as she was told. After the secretary left, Zach asked Luna, What are you going to do? Luna stroked the messy hair on her forehead. I'm not going to do it. Don't do anything before you have evidence. I have already alerted the snake once. If it wasn't for my momentary agitation, if I had arrested these people without any evidence, it wouldn't have caused Jack to be on guard. Not only did Walker get beaten up, he also caused us to not have any evidence to dig out this pest. Zach smiled. It's not necessarily bad to lock them up. If you don't, can you confirm who the mole is? Luna did not want to discuss more about what she had done in the past. She only wanted to know what to do next. When she threw this question to Zach, Zach replied, No, wait and see. Wait for those unqualified sunshades to appear. Luna furrowed her pretty brows. Don't tell me they will jump out by themselves. Zach said, Of course not. But my people will find these things. Before he went into the office to find Luna, Zach had already arranged for the gangster to go to the district factory to deal with this matter. With the driving skills of the gangster, it was quite easy to follow a car. Previously, Zach had deliberately requested to go there because he wanted to see if the factory had stopped working and to numb Jack. How dare he use fake garbage to fool him? Episode 318, Death. One had to say, Jack was quite a scheming man. He had prepared 2 sets of equipment. One was suitable for the standard limits, and the other was not suitable for the standard limits. The standard product was identical to the faulty piece of hardware and was not easily distinguishable. At first it would work, but on extended drives, the material would fail. The real, long-distance running model for Jack was his unqualified product. Anyway, as long as they could get through the external inspection, no one in the factory would check again. There were all packaging bags outside, so there was no smell. But this time, he did not expect that he would be exposed by a person who insisted on being serious. If it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid in broad daylight, other people might have seen him. He had to teach Walker a lesson. He actually dared to come to the door and investigate? This was simply outrageous. But what if he came to the door? Didn't that beautiful Vice President Luna also come? He was still pulling his face back with a large smile. There was no evidence, and there was also a contract. No one cared about this matter. The business continued, and the money continued to be earned. Using waste to make a sunshade could save money. $7 per piece. 10,000 pieces was $70,000, and 100,000 pieces was $700,000. Therefore, Jack's idea was very simple. As long as he had money, it would be fine. He didn't care who drove the broken car. In any case, he wouldn't drive it. On the second day, Jack was preparing to continue making products that didn't meet the standards when the external inspection department called again. Manager Jack, Deputy Director Luna have brought people over again. You have to pay attention to the product over there. After hanging up the phone call to inform him, Jack was so angry that he pounded the table. There's no end to this. It's not like I hurt you at all. Why are you chasing me all day long? Although he was cursing and angry, he still had to do what he was supposed to do. Jack quickly left the office and ordered those who needed to stop production, and those who needed to change equipment to change equipment. It was like a military exercise. Everything was ready in less than 10 minutes. The people in the factory were also sent out. They squatted beside the road to the factory. When they saw the people from QZ Group, they immediately called. There was a call in front of them. They were going to produce the products here. The products that they saw were guaranteed to be qualified products. Even if the police came, they would not admit it. Jack sat in the office and leisurely listened to the small tune. It was still a popular song. After listening to the music, he also hummed a few sentences. One toast to freedom, one toast to death. It sounded like they were all in tune, so it was likely that they often went to bars and clubs to have fun. Just as they were having fun, the workshop director came over to report. Boss, the people from QZ Group are here. The production line has been turned on. They will be here soon. Jack nodded and sent the workshop director out. He took out a document and pretended to draw with a pen. Not long after, the office door opened and Luna and Zack came in again. Hey, Director Luna, why are you here? Quick, take a seat. Jack did not know who Zack was. He just thought that Zack was a little driver and bodyguard. Therefore, he ignored Zack and only warmly invited Luna to sit down and drink some tea. But at this time, Zack came to his desk and picked up the document that Jack had drawn with a pen. Is it important to improve the quality of the product? Manager Jack is amazing. He has already started to read this. When Zack's mocking voice rang out, Jack frowned slightly. He did not know what kind of medicine this little driver had taken. What did the conversation between the two bosses have to do with him? However, he still wanted to talk about what Zack had said seriously. Yes, what happened yesterday made me very distressed. I am also thinking deeply. It would be better if I could increase the awareness of the employees in the factory who love us. But before that, I have to let them understand what quality means to the company. I have to let them dig deep into the root of the problem and realize the seriousness and fundamental nature of the problem. Only then can the company have a stronger development and cohesiveness. At the same time, it can also provide better supporting services for the QZ group. Jack was quite good at talking nonsense. It was especially like that. People started with a picture, and the story was all fabricated. Jack only needed to make up a piece of paper to start the game, and the rest depended on his smooth talking. After Jack finished speaking, Zach couldn't help but raise his thumb. "Director Jack, you really can build walls." Jack was feeling proud of himself for saying the lines that he had planned earlier. He didn't expect to hear such a line. This sentence was not pleasant to hear, and it was especially disrespectful. He did not like it, especially with Zach's identity as a driver. He did not like it even more. Turning his head, Jack looked at Zach. "Little brother, I am talking to your boss. As a driver, it's not appropriate for you to be present. Why are you interrupting me now? Do you think it's appropriate?" Luna just wanted to laugh secretly and did not make a sound. She just wanted to see how Zach would react to these remarks. In fact, Zach was not small at all. At least, he was very brave. After Jack finished speaking, he sat down on Jack's desk. After he took out a cigarette and lit it, Zach said to him, "What's wrong with being a small driver? Can't the small driver talk about proper business?" The small driver also understood that one had to have a conscience in order to make a product. Money was important, but to sacrifice someone else's lives for what, 20 cents? Was not worth it, right? Just like a beggar on the road who is starving to death. As long as you give him $7, he will be able to live. Are you willing to give him $7? If you're unwilling, then pretend I didn't say anything. You're not a human, you're a bull. But if you are willing, since you are willing to save someone with $7, why aren't you willing to earn $7 less to avoid harming others? I've seen on the news that there's a poor family that was hurt by your product. The parents couldn't afford the medicine to help their kids and had to work extra hours just to pay the bills they already had. These years, life has been a little better. The wife of the young couple got into a car accident. Her lower body can't move, and she can't work anymore. The burden of the family is all on the husband. He is a person who works for two people. The two elders in the upper management and the lower management take care of the two children. He also has to take care of his wife in the middle. Life is very difficult. His wife really can't bear it, so she went around looking for a job, and it's pretty good. She found a handmade job and strings pearls all day long. She doesn't make much money. Earning $320 a day can be considered as subsidizing household expenses. But later on, because of the pearls manufacturer, she used the most inferior materials in order to save some money. Formaldehyde was used to make some of the beads and leaked during the warming process, resulting in the wife suffering from leukemia. The whole family became even worse. When the husband heard the results of the examination, he silently gave the money to the older child and then jumped down from the hospital building. The wife felt that she was a burden to this family and had no face to continue living, so she cut her wrist and committed suicide. A good family, and only the old couple who had been ill for a long time was left, and the two children who were in their teens. After saying that, Zach looked at Jack. "Come, CEO Jack, let me ask you something. Do you think the owner of the formaldehyde beads will feel uneasy when he hears the news? Will he feel uneasy sleeping at night? Will there be two malicious spirits that will come looking for his life at night?" Episode 319. Harder to Fall. Zach stared at Jack, hoping to see something from his eyes. Unfortunately, all he saw was indifference. "What does this have to do with me? You little driver, get the hell out of here!" Jack was furious. How could he not be angry? He was told a useless sob story about people that he didn't know and their unlucky life. Why should he care? He was lucky. He had the great idea to cut corners to make more money. This was more important than anything, right? Without money, you would be nothing. It was because of this money that he could start up his business step by step and become the current CEO, Jack. The sunshade that he produced in his factory was sold in many cars of many companies and earned money easily. Just the money he had saved from the material alone was several $1 million. However, he never thought about the people he had cheated, the people who had gotten sick because of the formaldehyde material, how they were now, and how their families were living. He never cared about that. He just thought that it was good that he had money. Jack was convinced that you only get one chance at life, so what could be done to make that life any better could only be a good thing. So what if some people got hurt along the way? Lots of people got hurt all the time from things outside of their control, and this was no different. The life and death of others, he didn't care. Zach clicked his tongue and sighed at Jack's attitude. You really are really stubborn. You are not afraid of ghosts knocking on your door, even though you have done something wrong. Jack was furious. He turned his head and looked at Luna. Director Luna, your driver is so arrogant. Don't you care as the leader? The topic finally got her involved, but Luna did not want to be involved in this topic, so she calmly said, This is not my driver. This is the chairman of the Dream Group. The sunscreen you processed is part of his car. That's why he came to scold you. Jack was originally quite angry, but now he was stunned. He had a complete understanding of the Dream Group. Now the news has gone viral on the internet. In just a year's time, the news had spread like wildfire. To develop a small company into a company worth assets of $10 billion. What an awesome company. When he heard about this matter, he even thought that the chairman of the Dream Group must have gone down the same wrong path and earned the same amount of money that he had with no conscience for using dirty tricks to get ahead. But in fact, it was very different from what he had thought. This chairman, who seemed like a small driver, seemed to be quite righteous. Jack was afraid of this kind of righteousness, especially since Zach had more money and status than him. He was even more afraid. What if Zach refused to let go of this matter? Then his future life would not be easy. Therefore, he hurriedly got up, and a flattering smile hung on his fat face. Look at me! I really look down on people. Director Luna, you too! Why didn't you introduce me to him? Jack came to Zach. He bent over and stretched out his hands. He smiled obsequiously and wanted to shake Zach's hand to apologize. However, Zach only flicked the ash on his hand and used both of his hands as an ash cylinder. After that, Zach said to Jack, Chief Jack, don't you want to know what happened between the two children and the old couple? Jack smiled awkwardly. I do want to know. I even wanted to donate to them just now. I didn't have the time to ask. Zach sneered. Donate. Forget it. I heard that there was a female student in the village who studied law and helped their family find the boss responsible. She even filed a lawsuit to ask for financial compensation. But that boss didn't even pay a single cent. He even saw how beautiful that female university student was. She was locked up in a small black room for 7 days and forced to suffer for 7 days. Once the girl was released, she suffered such a traumatic event that she was admitted to the psych hospital and is still not the same to this day. Director Jack, do you know about this? Jack's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He felt that Zach's intention today was not good. If it was a good intention, why would Zach point the blame at him for every matter? These things were exactly what he had done in the past. He thought that it would be unknown. However, he did not expect that after more than 10 years had passed, he would be found out again today. Furthermore, it was directed at him. This matter made Jack feel feared. He felt that all these years of peaceful days were about to come to an end. But he did not dare to bear the responsibility. I don't know what you're talking about. if you are asking about the sunshade, I can tell you clearly that all the products produced by our company are still qualified. There's not even half of the products that are not qualified. Zach sneered. Really? Since that is the case, let's talk about it in front of everyone. The next moment, Zach opened the door, and a few policemen walked up to him with arrest warrants in their hands. Jack didn't even know when the police had come. He didn't notice either. Of course, he did not notice that the police came in from the back door, and they had already arrested all the people who were keeping watch outside his factory. Zach had arranged for some of his men to go over yesterday to investigate the relocation sunshade, and had a chat with the old bachelor who had been keeping watch over the warehouse about these things. When Jack had caused trouble for the university girl, the old bachelor was the only one who knew about it. However, Jack did not know about this. The old bachelor was the gatekeeper back then. He let people in, and no one came out. He searched everywhere in the factory. Then he heard Jack and the female college students' voices coming from an abandoned dark room. He had wanted to save them at that time, but later on he remembered that Jack was quite fierce, so he didn't dare to meddle in other people's business. Last night, when one of Zach's men found the old gatekeeper, they brought him a few drinks, and he divulged that he knew all about the girl and had the evidence to prove it. Unintentionally, they also retained a piece of evidence that she was still alive, and it was strong enough to prove the evil deeds that Jack had done in the past. Jack did not admit it. He refused to admit it no matter what. Even if he had his arm twisted by the police, he still shouted that he had been wrongfully accused. Coincidentally, the men brought the old bachelor who was guarding the door. He told them about what had happened in the past, especially when the men brought over the female university student who had gone crazy. After seeing Jack, the female university student who had gone crazy suddenly calmed down. Tears fell from her eyes. In the next moment, she was like a mad devil, rushing forward and crazily scratching Jack's face, causing blood to flow out. Jack could not deny it. Jack was caught, and all the unqualified products he produced were also caught. As the saying goes, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. When Jack went in, the employees who originally listened to him all switched sides. Who wouldn't want to atone for their crimes and perform meritorious deeds? They all revealed all the evil deeds that they knew about Jack over the years. Zach was not clear about the specifics. During the investigation, the Public Security Department kept everything a secret. But one thing was certain. Jack, this bastard, who only cared about money and no one else's life, was dead for sure. After returning to the company, Zach laid on the sofa in Luna's office and rested. Luna poured Zach a cup of water and walked over to put it down. Then she asked Zach, "What do you think we should do with that sunshade?" Fortunately, it was a new model and had not been put into the market yet. It was currently being mass-produced, so it hadn't made it to the public, thankfully. Zach smiled at Luna. Burn! 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 Episode 320. I Want to Give You Glory. A week later, the QZ group meeting started again. It was still presided over by the chairman, Mac. After the routine production report and sales report were done, Mac mentioned another matter, which was the matter of the plastic factory, as well as the matter of the external inspection division of a certain brand automotive branch. All these years, QZ has been focusing on administrative cars. The recent incident was run by a man whose company had only been producing for 2 years. I have repeatedly emphasized the quality of the cars that we produce are the best in the business. We must ensure that the quality of the cars is strictly controlled. Our QZ brand was the earliest brand to be established in the country. It is also the luxury car brand of the domestic brand. However, the sad thing is that our sales have never been able to rise, and our products are not competitive enough. But the more it is like this, the more we need to do a good job of quality. We need to strictly bolster the quality of our products and let our users' reputation form our advertisement to promote sales. But the quality problem this time makes me very worried. Dream Automotive Company has taken the initiative to cooperate with us. They want to put good cars on our side and help us accelerate our company to stand up. Their company and associated group has seen unprecedented growth in a short amount of time. But what about us? The parts we gave them were problematic parts, with certain toxic chemicals exceeding the standard limit by 13 times. This is a problem that only revealed itself recently and could be a precursor to something much worse. We need to make sure every other part is made to the standard that we strive for. Every bolt, hinge, cable, and weld need to be verified that they will not cause harm to our customer. There are a lot of possibilities. We need to be patient and check them one by one. We have been in this business and know the people like they were our own family. I know you all feel the same and will strive to make sure we do not have any more problems. Do you understand? Max suddenly shouted, causing everyone present to tremble. We realized that the chairman was really angry at this time. Mac couldn't help but be angry. He was a man who had been poor and worked hard to make sure he never led that life ever again. The only rule that he kept was that he would help those in need and not use them for his own personal gain. He would never allow such a thing to happen. After saying a few more words to everyone and giving a death order to change the quality of the speech, Mac gave Luna the right to speak. As the company's executive vice president, Luna was now the real second in command. So when she stood up to speak, no one dared to ignore it. Luna's words were indeed full of explosive power. As the executive vice president in the company, I propose to destroy all the unqualified sunshades on the cars. Furthermore, they will be destroyed in front of the media. We would rather destroy the cars than secretly change their parts and continue to be listed on the market. Why? After Luna finished speaking, some of the higher-ups raised their doubts. It was not that they did not respect Luna's executive vice president position, but he did not understand why Luna would do such a ridiculous thing. Recently, the incident has been especially serious in the industry. It is a huge taboo. Others might not be able to avoid it, but why should we take the initiative to approach this problem? Director Luna asked. If we expose this matter in front of the media, the seriousness that we take our quality in cars will be exposed. Trying to hide that we fell for the ruse would just implicate us and make people think that we only want their money. The words of this high-ranking leader immediately attracted the approval of others. When Mac expressed that he did not understand, Luna looked around and said, "Yes, this will indeed affect many of our QZ brands, but there's one thing that we are sure of. We, QZ, dare to say no to unqualified products and not hide it like other brands." Someone told me a story. There was a man who went down to buy groceries. This man was very particular and bought the same items from the same brands as he had done for many years. Then one time he goes into the store and sees some vegetables he usually gets marked at a higher price than normal. Confused, he asked an employee why they went up in cost. The employee answered, a new shipment had come in from a newer farm that was using cutting-edge equipment to grow their produce in a climate-controlled greenhouse. The price naturally goes up when the product is of a higher quality. The man was annoyed, but he thought that the price was okay, as the product appeared bigger than normal, so he might still be getting his money's worth. That night as he was cooking, he noticed that when he cut into the new vegetable, that their skins were thicker, and their sides weren't the usual color. Sure enough, he took a bite of the meal, and the flavor was all but gone out of the dish. He went back to the store the next day to find the regular brand. Only after looking hard did he find it and repeat the meal he made the night before. The meal was exactly as it should have tasted, and he cursed out loud. Those who cut corners in the work they do deserve nothing more than to waste away in the sun. I told you this story because it is exactly what we have witnessed with these sunshades. The man went back to his old brand because he knew their ways and trusted the product they made. Luna let out a long sigh and continued. Yes, it was because of their integrity that people paid attention to everything. Is it honesty? Doing business is the same as being a person. Honesty is the most basic foundation. Take a person as an example. A friend borrowed money from you and said that he would return it in 3 days. But in the end, he didn't even return it in a year. Even though the money isn't your whole life savings, it is still money that you gave and expected to get back. A friend like that is not worth keeping. Return again. Honesty is the foundation of a company when it comes to business. The customers are not fools. No one in the world is a real fool. Even the fool on the street knows to run when you pick up the stone. Everyone only cares about their own interests, and the same goes for the customers. You can lie to him or her when you sell a car, but when they use the car, they will find out what kind of lousy car it is. So when relatives and friends ask him about the car, how is it? Broken car, don't buy it. Our domestic car has been stuck in this strange circle all these years. All companies, including our QZ group, are the same. We don't dare to admit our mistakes. Hurry up and hide it. If something really happens, we will quickly say that it is a saboteur from the same industry. Our company has not seen the growth it should have because of our following of the norm where we hide our mistakes. We feel these mistakes, but the customers take the brunt of the fault, and then they tell others never to buy from us. But there are some joint venture cars that they never cover up. They directly put their pros and cons on the table. Take a certain Japanese brand's car, for example. It is a compact car with very little in the way of safety, especially against bigger vehicles. The car was made for fuel efficiency and tight streets that are common on an island nation with an ever-growing population. There is no need to hide the lack of safety features because it allows the consumer to take their own risks instead of blaming the car company. Because users have the right to know, they don't like to be cheated. They want to know what the shortcomings of their cars are and know what to do. If we hide it, in the future, this scar will be exposed, and then the client will have a bad feeling about it. In my opinion, it's not that our clients can't accept domestic cars, nor that they don't love our country. But before we love our country, before we accept domestic cars as companies, no matter whether it's in the spirit of integrity or the purpose of profitability, we should let our customers know that our car is not good, or I'm wrong. I've corrected it. Only by letting the customers know what we are doing and letting them completely understand their own car will they be willing to accept our brand, buy our car, and recognize our company. Episode 321, Fire Tornado QZ. Luna's words caused the entire audience to fall silent. The silence lasted for nearly 10 seconds before a sound could be heard. It was a round of applause. It was the applause of the senior leader who had questioned her earlier. After him, everyone applauded. Even the chairman, Mac, was no exception. He was the one who applauded the most. Today, he was talking about quality. He originally thought that quality was the key to limiting the company's development. However, as a businessman, he forgot that honesty was the foundation. Today, Luna gave him a good lesson. It was very vivid and spicy. It could be said that she hit the nail on the head. The honesty that Luna had proposed and the story had deeply touched Mac. After nearly half a minute of applause, Mac stretched out his hand and pressed down motioning for everyone to stop clapping. After the meeting room quieted down, Mac gave Luna a thumbs up. Indeed, it is true that a new generation is better than an old one. It is impossible to not accept it. Young people still have a clearer mind and vision. Compared to Director Luna, I, Mac, am really old. Luna felt a little embarrassed. She stood up and wanted to say something, but was stopped by Mac. When I first entered the industry, the old leader told me that there is no distinction between big and small businesses in the world. The word trust is always the first word to be said. I have always regarded it as a standard. However, as I have been in the business world for a long time, I have also discarded the word trust at some point in time. I'll hide the ugliness. I'll keep the benefits to myself. I absolutely won't let customers see the real QZ, the real product. Director Luna's words today have given me a lot of experience. It can be said that I have been enlightened. After laminating, Mac continued. So I am here to ask for everyone's opinion. Now, I do not support Director Luna calling the media to destroy the sunscreen. Please raise your hand. No one raised their hands. Not a single person. Those who support Director Luna's suggestion, please raise your hands now. As soon as he finished speaking, Mac immediately raised his hand. However, he was still half a beat slower than the others. Before he could finish speaking, everyone had already raised their hands. In this battle of branding and fame, in this battle of QZ glory, QZ's people were united against their common enemy. Looking at such a hot-blooded scene and seeing everyone clenching their fists and wanting to lead QZ Group to play the role of the big brother, Luna was very excited in her heart. At the same time, she also remembered the conversation with Zach in the office yesterday. Zach was lying on the sofa at that time, and Luna was standing beside him with a glass of water. She asked Zach, "About the sunshade, what should we do?" Zach replied, "Burn it." Luna did not understand and continued to ask, "How can we burn it?" Then Zach replied, "Gather the media and burn it in front of everyone." At that time, her surprise was the same as everyone's doubts. She really could not understand why. And the story of tying crabs with grass ropes was what Zach told her. It was also Zach who told her the truth about honesty. So what she said today was actually Zach's words. So when Mac praised her just now, she felt very embarrassed in her heart and wanted to tell him the truth. However, Mac did not give her the chance to speak, so she could only take Zach's credit and enjoy the good reputation for Zach. After the meeting ended, Luna saw Zach in the testing workshop. She said shyly, "Sorry, I put your honor on my head, and I didn't tell anyone after the meeting. This was your idea." Looking at Luna's embarrassed look, Zach said, "Originally, I didn't want this honor either. This honor was given to you. You have just become an executive vice president. Although no one said anything about it, they would still feel some dissatisfaction towards you in their hearts. After all, you are too young for them. That's why you need an honor and a result. You need to prove that you can do it. You have the ability to lead everyone to a higher level. Only then can everyone submit to you. Otherwise, your future life will be very difficult. Openly obeying the orders and slacking off is the biggest problem you have to face. However, with this honor, things will be different. You will make everyone respect you for a long time, enough for you to establish your authority among them. Of course, you took a huge risk after receiving the honor. If you burn a QZ brand, you will be destroyed. Luna, when that time comes, you will be a sinner of history." Luna smiled. She knew this, but she did not believe that it would happen. She believed that since ancient times, honesty was the greatest capital. If she treated her clients with honesty, the clients would definitely repay her with honesty. Episode 322, Patience. 3 days later, Luna hosted and held a press conference. She also took the initiative to announce that their sunshades had a dangerous chemical in them that they had found. She even announced the matter to the External Inspection Department and Jack at the same time. This is our QZ's dereliction of duty, but it is also a process to get rid of the cancer. We, QZ, are willing to publicly destroy the parts of this batch of vehicles. We will also admit our mistakes in this work under the attention of various media outlets and promise to guard every checkpoint of every procedure in the future. We will definitely not sell a problematic vehicle to users. In front of many media outlets, Luna completely exposed the old background of her new car, Wade. Now, every car company is afraid of the problem of formaldehyde. Only QZ had taken the initiative to expose this matter. Thus, a wave of public opinion quickly formed on the internet, pushing QZ to the top of the wave. Many netizens were cursing on the internet. Their comments were all exposing that the QZ was the leader. Yet she had actually brought out such a thing. It was simply a disgrace. There were also those who said that QZ was corrupt. There were also those who said that QZ was not doing anything. There were also many competitors who did not forget to take the opportunity to splash some dirty water on QZ. They wanted to use this chaotic mess to crush QZ to death. In fact, there was a certain amount of public opinion. Not only the brand under QZ, but even the joint venture vehicle that had collaborated with QZ was greatly affected. Everyone started to question whether the vehicle they collaborated with had this problem. For example, a certain luxury car had always been plagued by this rumor. Now that the matter of the sunshades had appeared in QZ, the cloud of doubt had become even thicker. As a result, some of the rumors had already developed to the point that the relevant departments had forcefully ordered QZ to apologize. Otherwise, why would someone expose their own shortcomings? This kind of statement made the higher-ups of QZ Group very angry. They clearly wanted to reveal their sincerity. They were met with the malicious words of the netizens. But Luna was not anxious. Just like what Zack had said to her, only a strong wind can create a big fire. Now, QZ has been gathered by the north, south, east, and the west. This is a tornado. QZ has already been sent to the high and mighty clouds. And even the content of the car industry is being reported. This is good. The next step is to throw a fire stick into the tornado, and it will become a fire tornado. Luna had seen the real phenomenon of a fire tornado on the internet. When the forest was on fire, it could form a fire tornado. It was very fierce. However, she did not know what kind of force that seemed to follow Zack wherever he went. Faced with this question, Zack only smiled and waved his hand. It's nothing really. This is child's play. Luna did not know what kind of confidence Zack had that could make him not worry. But she was very clear that since Zack had given her a move, he would definitely not cheat her. It was precisely because of this layer of trust that she could suppress her movements and not interfere with the discussions online. After another 3 days, the tornado surrounding QZ finally reached the unprecedented height. Even the old lady who was chatting in the neighborhood at night knew that the QZ car would cause leukemia and cancer. In a short period of time, the QZ car was demonized and turned into a dead car, causing the sales of all cars related to the QZ car to drop sharply. It could almost be described as a steep fall. However, just as the company's upper echelons were in a meeting to discuss what to do about this matter, a change occurred. A certain foreign company's brand car revealed the existence of the chemical described by Luna and other carcinogenic substances that had been detected, and it had exceeded the standard limit by dozens of times. This matter seemed to have been controlled, In an instant, all the media outlets posted it, even in their social media posts. With the help of OZ's chemical misuse a few days ago, the fire quickly burned. Meanwhile, new comments also gradually appeared on the internet. When we were slandering QZ's public promise, they desperately cursed the company for allowing such horrible materials to be used in their cars, like they had committed the crime of intentionally hurting their customers for profit. Now we hear this news, and it is very apparent that they were trying to prove their good intentions. This brand that we shunned had been honest to us, and we spat in their faces. Only now do we realize that QZ was doing all this to make sure that their customers were not hurt, despite how much it would hurt their profits. The direction of the discussion on the internet finally changed, and it became all leaning towards QZ, especially the appearance of an unofficial announcement regarding the involved brand. It had completely pushed QZ to the front of the industry. The announcement roughly meant this was only an accident. Not all cars were like this. It was QZ who wanted to divert the public's firepower. However, right after that, countless car companies posted online the values of their own cars' toxic levels. The brand's cars were all over the limit, at least 3 to 5 times, and at most a dozen times. There were also car owners of QZ following behind. Although they had also calculated the appearance of these chemicals in the car, it did not exceed the country's standard value. Comparing the two as to who was wrongfully accused and who, it was clear. However, in fact, foreign brands had never made such a statement, but it was no longer important. QZ only needed a comparison target. Zach casually sent out an unofficial statement and pushed them over. With this large brand's entity in ignition, QZ's fire tornado finally started burning brighter. The whole internet started to have a huge reversal. Countless people were praising QZ as a conscious company. It was the brand that made the customers feel safe. The reason was very simple. QZ had done a self-check. However, at this moment, Carson uploaded the video of Zach racing the other day on the internet. It was time to test the car. Only the logo of the car was QZ. Other than that, there was no way to determine the brand. However, there was one thing that was clear. This car was not old, but a brand new model. Following which, there was a friend in the know who claimed to be a technical staff in the factory under QZ's jurisdiction. He revealed that this car was a hydrogen-powered electric vehicle. 100 kilometers of gaseous hydrogen was $20, and after changing to solid hydrogen, it could be driven for 1,500 kilometers. And the time needed to change to solid hydrogen was only a short 3 minutes. Moreover, any shop in the country that collaborated with QZ could be changed. In the future, they would also work with the gas station on the highway to change to solid hydrogen. Making the new energy source run for a long distance was no longer wishful thinking. When everyone found out about this power and the energy consumption ratio, they went crazy. The first impression they had was that it was impossible. Absolutely impossible. It was simply impossible to have such a car. However, after someone discovered a brand new hydrogen energy system in the global patent announcement system, the direction of the internet changed again. QZ, Good Bull Wall. The new car that QZ developed was named Wind Chaser.